what happened at the stoppage there, and if you felt that maybe it was a little early?
Is this on? Can you
Yep,
hear?
go
Okay.
ahead.
Looking back, like, because I just watched it on the screen, it did seem kind of quick. Things are slowed down in my head in the cage. You know, like I felt it connect, and then like my body just moved to protect itself, and then I heard his voice, and I immediately tried to get back up. So I'm not gonna blame a referee for something that I feel like I should be able to control. I should get up quicker, and if you want to win fights, you just have to do it regardless of what's going on.
And I guess, I mean, without blaming anybody or putting it on anybody else, but can you just tell us how you're feeling now? It seems like such a lot of build-up, to be over so quickly.
Disappointed. I hate losing, so I don't know. I feel like I have to go back and get better.
And Dana, I guess if we could just get your thoughts. I mean, if you gave Ronda a performance bonus, I'm assuming maybe you thought it was okay. I don't know. What did you think about the stoppage? Herb has had a couple quick ones lately.
Listen, guys, I've been in this business a long time. I've seen that happen to Oscar De La Hoya. Seen that happen to De La Hoya and many other great fighters. You get hit to the body like that, and regular people that have never been hit to the body have no fucking clue what that feels like. Believe me when I tell you. She went down on her knees and she turned her head the other way. Could Herb have let her take some shots to the face? Definitely. But when the fight happened and I saw it, I said, "Oh man!" Then I watched the replay, and when I watched the replay, I thought it was a good stoppage.
Dana, just continuing with the stoppages, what were your thoughts on the Mike Pyle fight? Do you feel that Herb took a little bit too long?
Again, when I saw the first one, when I saw it happen live, and then I saw the replay, it didn't look as bad to me in the replay as it did when it was happening live. A lot of those punches missed, elbows missed, and yes, he ate a couple of hard elbows, and I think when he did eat the hard elbows, that's when Herb stopped the fight.
A question for Rory, please. You had an excellent fight there against Damian, fight of the night. How do you feel about your performance and where you rank right now in the division?
I was very happy with how I fought tonight. I felt like I didn't overthink everything like my last couple fights. I just went in there and I let the training show. I just shut my mind off and I fought, and I felt good. I still like to rewatch the fight, but everyone seems to be happy with it.
How did you feel about the adversity there in the first round?
Good. I stayed calm. I knew Damian's takedown was very strong, and he's a very strong jiu-jitsu fighter. So I stayed relaxed and I waited for my opportunity to escape and get back to my feet.
Question for Daniel. You had put into the talking there with all the pre-fight hype with Cummings. How did you feel about your performance at 205? I mean, you look like pretty flawless there.
I felt pretty good. I mean, I felt like I could fight long. I felt like I was in shape, and I felt pretty good. I mean, it was only a minute and 30-second fight, so I felt good. When I was at heavyweight, I kind of would feel guys out a little bit, and I think these guys are a little faster, so I may not be able to do that anymore.
Thank you. And just one last question for Rafael. Your performance tonight, obviously you're ranked number 3 in the bantamweight division. How did you feel about that, and where do you see yourself going in the division? Do you feel ready for a title shot?
I think my consistency and my record, it's showing right now. I'm happy for my 6th win in a row, and whatever the UFC decides, I just feel I'm in position. I've been getting better every fight, and even though I've left me an opponent, the guy was a tough opponent, and I've been breaking a lot of the past fighters that I fought. I've been breaking their win streaks. So if you look at the last couple guys I fought, I've broke their win streak. I was the first one.
Question for Sarah, right in front of you. Just to clarify on the knee, did you have that paralyzed feeling like it was a liver shot? I mean, was that kind of what happened, where you couldn't move when you went down?
I felt like I couldn't move, like right when it landed, like a split second after that, and then like when I hit the ground, like I got my bearings back. Like I once I heard his voice, I felt like I could move good.
I talked to Herb, and he said one of the reasons that he stopped the fight when he did is you put your hands at your midsection and never moved to cover anything else. You know, so do you recall that? Like, do you recall where your hands and arms were? Are things just happening too fast when, you know, when that goes on?
Well, I just watched it, so it's kind of hard to. I didn't know that I did it when I was out there, but I think that when I heard his voice, I started reaching for a leg. So, but I think that it kind of happens automatically. I wasn't like thinking like, oh, I think I'd like to put my hand over my liver right now. So, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I was just saying, you know, he was concerned that you weren't covering your face after you got hit. He said you were guarding your midsection, and you know she's going to tee off on your face, and that's what he was concerned. He said he was concerned about.
I don't think that I think she swung. I don't think that I got hit in the face when I dropped. Like I didn't feel it, so.
And then you landed a pretty good right hand, you know, when that early storm came on. Did you feel it connected well, and did you see anything in her when you hit her with it?
I felt really comfortable in the striking. It's probably the most comfortable I felt in my striking in any of my fights. Yeah, I felt like there were some good connections. You know, right at the end of my range, I was really relaxed, and yeah, something that I was satisfied with.
A lot of talk about how this fight would be in the clinch. What did you feel out of Ronda in there? I mean, you didn't have a lot of time, but you had some clinch time fighting against the cage too. What was your thought on that?
I felt pretty good. I felt like I should have moved a little bit better off the cage. You know, like I felt like I was standing there like a little bit more content to stay instead of I usually circle pretty hard off the cage. So just something to work on.
Daniel, if I could ask you. You know, most people would say you're a pro's pro, and yet you seem like you let the trash talk get you. I was surprised, you know, when you shoved him at the press conference.
My leg was stuck. I was just trying to get up. Oh, at the press conference.
The other day,
I thought you were talking about today.
At the press conference when you shoved him, and then today it seemed like you were even still angry. You know,
no, not at all.
I thought
man.
It was selling, you know, and yet you seemed like you were not happy.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you start hearing things about, you know, what happened, you know, in the wrestling room, I like to keep that stuff personal. I was going through a lot of things at the time, so it did upset me. But once I get into the cage, you know, I'm not gonna. My emotion doesn't drive me. You know, I fight like I'm going to fight regardless. I fight like I train. That's what a training camp's for. You prepare yourself to fight a certain way. So my emotion will never carry me. I've never done that. So he can make me mad and we can fuss at the press conference, but I'll never let that carry me in the cage. So by the time I went to the octagon tonight, I was fine. He could have been anyone else, and nothing would have changed. I would have competed the same exact way that I did.
Thank you. And Dana, one last question. Were you disappointed at all the way the last two fights ended? You know, you have two fights about a minute long. Did that end
I just sat in front of you guys the other day where I heard there's too many decisions. Now they're heading too quick. Holy shit. What are we going to do around here?
I mean,
they're going too long. Now they're going too quick.
Exactly.
These are live sporting events. Anything can happen.
So I mean, but you know, just the fact, the 1 minute on each one, no disappointment on your end?
No.
Okay.
None. What are you going to do? They were too long 2 days ago.
Is that no? Who said that?
Weren't you guys just telling me what's up with all the decisions? These fights have been way too long. And now they're too quick.
Is that what I said?
I'll give you something to bitch about next week too. Promise.
Daniel, over here. There was an extraordinary picture essay done on you by Asta Lynn and with your weight cut, which was fascinating, I've got to say. And you made weight really easily. You took very little damage in this fight. Would you like to get back into action very soon so that you can maintain this kind of light heavyweight run and keep your body at that weight?
Well, I mean, I've got to do that regardless. Whether or not I'm fighting or not, I can't get so far away from the weight that I have to restart this whole process. So regardless of if I fight again, I'm going to stay as close as I need to be. I mean, I would like to fight again, but it seems like everybody's pretty much tied up, you know. So I guess I just stay ready, and if someone gets injured, you know, they give me a call, and if the fight makes sense, you know. So I'll fight anytime, you know. So they got some big fights coming up, you know. If anybody gets hurt, they can give me a call.
He's going to have to lay off the pretzels for a few weeks to make sure nobody...
These pretzels are good, man. I'm starving. Guess what? Popeyes is bringing my whole family food tomorrow, so you guys can get out of here.
Rory, your left hand is bandaged just there with you holding the microphone. Is it true that you cut your hand last Saturday with a kitchen knife, cutting an avocado?
Yeah.
Can you just talk us through what happened?
I stabbed myself. It's pretty embarrassing. I was And when it happened, I was so embarrassed. You know, I couldn't believe it. I thought the fight, I was going to have to pull the fight, you know, because he could easily hit a tendon or something. I went to the emergency room, got stitched up, I got checked out. Everything's fine, everything's intact. It went in really far, but I didn't sever anything important, so I stitched it up, and I fought. Everything's cool.
So you were holding the avocado while you were cutting it, presumably, then?
The
yeah?
technique was off, all right?
Thank you very much.
Question for Dana. Is Pat Cummings getting another fight before after today?
Is who?
Patrick.
Patrick Cummins. Yeah, we'll give him another fight. We'll give him a fight he can prepare for.
Okay, and what did you think of Rafael Assunção and Munoz's fight? Is he the next challenger, contender?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know I don't make fights the night of the fight, so we'll see. Obviously, he's in a great spot. We'll see how it goes.
And I know that you don't want to talk about this, but I was wondering, what did you think about Chris Cyborg's statement this week, saying that she would get down to 135 to challenge Ronda in December?
Well, like I told you guys the other day, I think the genius put her in a box because, you know, saying that you will die if you make 135 pounds is a pretty bold statement. And, you know, she would probably have to make 135 pounds a couple times somewhere else and fight and show that she's healthy, and then we'll see what happens.
She said that she would get a challenge like the Invicta fight, Invicta belt first, and then challenge Ronda. So.
That would make sense.
Along those same lines, you probably didn't check your Twitter. She just tweeted you that Cyborg it is and said make the fight for December. What do you have to say for that?
Okay, I'm on it. I just said she's got to fight. She's got to make weight a few times, fight, and we'll see what happens. You know, there's a lot of things that would have to happen before first we'd have to come to a deal. She'd have to fight, make 135 pounds a couple times somewhere else, and if she's healthy and whatever, maybe we can do it.
A question for Rory MacDonald. Rory, after during the first round, that final minute, once the fight went back to the feet, it seemed like there was a clear change in Damian Maia's gas tank. Is that something you sensed in the final seconds of the first round, or was that something you picked up on once the second round started?
Well, you know, I knew if I got up to my feet again, defending the takedown, that takes effort, you know, on his part. So I knew I would wear him out that way, and keeping the pressure on him, keeping the action going, keeping my strikes on him, I would get the knockout eventually. But obviously he's a super tough guy. I hit him with a lot of good shots, and he stayed on his feet.
And a question for Dana, since Ronda's not here yet. Do you know anything about special considerations with her in terms of maybe like movie schedules and that kind of thing that would dictate when she could return to the octagon? Obviously, she didn't take any damage tonight.
Yeah, she's coming right now. She can answer that question, but she is doing a movie. I really don't know. She filmed The Ultimate Fighter, went and did her 2 movies, fought these 2 fights back to back, and I don't know what her schedule is from here, but she's got something planned. She's filming something next. She can tell you when she gets in here.
Okay. And while she's coming, question. It's a quick question for Mike Pyle. Mike, obviously a very impressive performance and very well-rounded as well. Did you feel like TJ was out before the fight was actually stopped? It looked like he might have been out for a second, and then maybe a punch woke him up.
No, it goes back to what Dana said earlier, that some of those weren't as clean. But once I did start to land some really good, solid ones, Herb was right there. There was a few, exchanges that we were going through that nothing was really, landing. So once the action kind of settled, and I landed a couple, then Herb was right in, and it was done.
And finally, that quick question for Ronda, if I could. Ronda, you obviously quick turnaround from Misha Tate fight to this one, but you didn't take any damage tonight. Can you tell us anything about, from movie schedules and that kind of thing, anything that might keep you from returning to the octagon sooner than later? Do you have a thought about how quickly you'd like to be back in there?
I always told Dana that I'll fight on 24 hours notice whenever he needs me. But I'm fighting, I am filming Entourage in the middle of March, and then Expendables comes out in August. But I usually have a hard time staying away from the gym, so I'm probably gonna get bored within a couple of weeks. And whenever they need me, I'll fight. But it seems like late summer seems kind of a cool time, but I might want to fight sooner than that.
Ronda, if we could just get your thoughts. We couldn't hear you very well with the crowd, the boos that you get now. Can you walk us through the stoppage and what your thoughts on it? Some people seem to think maybe it was a touch early. What were your thoughts on it?
I didn't think it was too soon. I would have kept going if someone didn't stop me, but that's not my decision. That's why we have a referee in there to make sure that no one gets hurt more than they need to.
And obviously, you said you're targeting late summer. Is there a contender that's seems that they're head and shoulders above the rest for you right now? Anybody that you have your eye on?
I mean, I think that Cat Zingano really deserves to fight for the title at some point, but she's still coming back from her injury, and I thought that Alexis Davis did an amazing job tonight, and it's up to the UFC,
And Dana, if I could just ask you, what is the latest on Cat Zingano? Is late summer possible?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. The poor girl's been through a lot over the last year, so we'll see what happens with her. But I agree with Ronda. She's next in line.
And just one other question. The other name that seems to be floating out there among fans is Holly Holm. Is that somebody that's on your radar? Obviously not in the promotion right now, but is that somebody that's on your radar?
She's never even fought here before. You know what I mean? So no.
And maybe not next, but do you think she's somebody that could join the division?
Sure. Yep.
Ronda, can you talk about the last blow? You said that you saw an opening after the first right knee. Can you talk about that?
To be honest, I don't really remember very well what happens in the fights right afterward. But I know that we spend a lot of time training for when we're in the clinch and not going for the takedown right away. And I was really focusing a lot on body shots, and we were really focusing on knees a lot. And I felt like it would really open up takedowns a lot more if I focused on the striking first.
Is it a big deal for you to win by another way other than the armbar? So many people talk about the armbar, but I know you've spent a lot of time working on different elements of your fighting style.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that I won the title the first time a year after my first pro fight. I'm learning still, and I am still. It took a long time for me to really feel like I wasn't just trying to do the judo that I learned ever since I was a kid, and I really feel like I'm more well-rounded as a martial artist. I'm not just looking for one finish. I'm just looking for what's available.
Thank you.
I have a question. I have a question for Sarah. To your left, Sarah. Okay. I just wanted to ask you about the game plan that you had coming into the fight. I think that was an intriguing aspect to this matchup, just because a lot of people thought that you would have, some ideas about how to approach Ronda that maybe some other her opponents wouldn't, just because they don't have the background that you have. So, do you mind sharing a little bit what you thought the keys would be for you in this fight?
Controlling the ties and, using, striking whenever I was open. So being right there in the range to do strikes, and then, beating the ties so to, not get thrown.
Did you have a big focus at all on staying off of the fence, or did you just think that, given your natural style and the fact that you typically come forward, that it wouldn't be a problem for you?
No, I pretty much always find the fence, whether it's, me pushing someone else on the fence or, vice versa. So just that I didn't circle well enough off that I usually do.
Question for Dana White. We know it was an extreme situation and it called for a quick solution, but do you regret putting Pat Cummins in a Costellar fight because of the result that it happened?
Do I regret putting him in the fight?
In Patrick Cummins.
Tonight, leading up to this fight, a lot of people said a lot of good things about Patrick Cummins. Even tonight, guys who are on the Olympic Committee for wrestling were texting me and saying, this guy's a tough kid, this guy's this guy's that. Cormier put himself in a position. He wanted this fight really bad. That fight happened. And I don't mean to say this in a disrespectful way to Cummins, because I like the kid and everything else, but Cormier needed to come out and treat him like that. He needed to come out and and do what he did to him. The question was, could he? The fight was intriguing. The fight was interesting. You know, these guys had competed together before. They'd wrestled. They trained. The fight happened. Do I regret it? No. I mean, I was interested in seeing it. I wanted to see it. It happened. Better than pulling it off, right? And not having the fight. Cormier got to fight, got to make some money, and you know, otherwise we would have pulled the fight off and moved another fight up onto the card. So it all worked out.
DC, quick question. You had told us on Wednesday when you had the fight with Bigfoot, you kind of had some nerves back then until you kind of felt the first kind of punching power from him. Now that you've dropped down to the 205 range, did you have any of that in this fight with all the buildup and then the change with Pat?
Well, it's like every time I fight now in the octagon, I feel more comfortable, and I'm actually scaring myself because I went from being very nervous against Mir to like now there's no nerves whatsoever. Against Nelson, against Cummins, there's really no nerves. The thing I took from the fight more than anything was that my power actually carries me a lot further than it did in heavyweight, because the same uppercut I hurt Patrick with the very first time, I landed against Frank Mir maybe 15 times. I did it to Roy Nelson. I did it against Josh Barnett, and those guys kind of just ate him. And it visibly affected him tonight. So more than anything he did, I think my power is going to carry me a lot further in this division because I'm not as small compared to the guys that I'm fighting.
And Rory, congratulations on a good fight. In the second round, you seemed to really hurt him. Did you feel that it was time to finish it there, or did you still kind of keep to your plan to take it all the way to the third round?
I was definitely trying to finish him. I was definitely trying to keep the pressure on him, keep the punches and kicks coming. But he was a tough guy. He was really resilient. He was taking everything I had, and he was constantly shooting from my legs, shooting really low. So I had to be aware of staying in position. But I was definitely in there for the kill tonight. It didn't come through.
For Alex, if I could, please. There were all three judges had different scores. I think the media was split everywhere. Can you tell us how you thought the fight played out? And obviously, I'm guessing you haven't had a chance to watch it again yet, but how you thought it should have been scored?
Obviously it was a tough fight. Let's face it, we're fighting in the UFC now, where I'm not fighting on the street or anything like that. I'm going to get, top-notch opponents. I felt like I won the fight. I wanted to push myself a little bit more than I did, but overall, I thought it was my win.
You were so effective in the second round. The third round seemed like you were willing to stand and trade, where maybe a takedown would have made it very clear-cut and easy. What was your thought there in approaching the third round that way?
Just sometimes I don't think as much as I should, I guess. I felt really good, really comfortable the second round. The third round, she was coming out strong. She was, obviously she's been through a lot in the last couple months or so, and she was tough. She was, coming for blood, and I wouldn't expect it any other way, fighting where I am.
Ronda said she was impressed with what you did. I mean, do you feel like you've done enough to be the #1 contender right now? I guess some of it depends on Cat's health and that sort of thing, but do you feel like you've done enough to earn the title shot?
Of course I'm going to say yes. I've been fighting for so long, and, who else is 3-0 in the UFC other than the girl, sitting right down from me. It was a great win for her, and, obviously she's got a lot of things going on, but I want that shot. I'm the quiet girl that sits there, but I'm looking for it. I'm reaching out for it. I'm going to take it if I get it.
And just quickly, if I could, for Steven, obviously Robert was having some success early on with the jab. How did you feel like the fight was playing out? Were you totally satisfied? Did you have to make some adjustments? Just walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, I felt really comfortable out there, from my last fight when I fought Chris Clements. But, I felt everything felt really clear. I felt calm. He did hit me with a few times with that jab. I don't know why I took those to the face. And I was like, you know what, get your hands up and block this jab. And, once I did that, I was able to put my combinations together and ended up hitting him with that big right hand. So felt really good out there tonight.
You've got a nice win streak going. I mean, you're still, relatively early in your career, but you're also in your 30s as well. So, I mean, how are you looking to progress your career? Do you feel like, you need to be given top contenders right away and moving up quickly, or do you feel like you're kind of still developing as a mixed martial artist?
Well, I've been in the game for, MMA for 4 years. So, yeah, I'm still learning right now, I'm still fairly green in the jiu-jitsu and wrestling. I'm still learning, but you know, we'll fight anybody who steps in the cage with us, and that's up for my manager and Dana White UFC to figure out who the next person will be.
Hey Ronda, congratulations, far left. Leading up to this week, the fight, we heard you talk a lot about your striking, probably more than normal. Did you kind of see this coming, that this might be an opportunity to showcase that part of your game?
Yeah, actually, I promised my coach this time that I was going to drop her with a body shot. And we called it, and we trained it a lot, and it was just a goal that I had in this fight. And I don't like calling it. I don't like saying it to the media or anyone else, saying I'm going to knock this person out. I always like to keep my mind open to whatever opportunity is there. But to my coach, I promised him that I was really going to try. And so, yeah, I'm happy I could have done that for him tonight.
How'd you guys start talking about the body shot specifically? Do you see that would be open?
When we were going over Sarah's footage and how she fights, and that no one's really tried to go for the body of her, and that, you know, being that she's a wrestling style, she's more likely to be bent over more, and I just thought it would also be really unexpected, and I think it would also set up the takedowns a lot better as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about it, actually.
Thanks.